The first light of a full moon stirs Yindi to life. Tonight, alert and hungry after a day spent sleeping, Yindi is feasting on his favourite, the succulent tips of a Sydney blue gum. It's a seemingly carefree existence, but as we're about to witness, Yindi's life to this point has been extraordinary. Furthermore, Yindi's future, and that of all koalas, is increasingly under a very real and serious threat. The vast eucalyptus forests that stretch inland along Australia's eastern seaboard are home to an estimated 40 to 80,000 koalas. Among them, Truganini, a healthy female, has roamed in the same territory since she was born 2 years ago. In that short time, Truganini has gone from childhood to motherhood, the miracle of her firstborn baby now alive and suckling deep inside her pouch. This amazing creature is Yindi. Just weeks old, he's completely hairless and with eyes still to open. His mouth is virtually welded to his mother's teat, a bonding and growing process that normally lasts for the next 4 months. At this fragile stage, Yindi is smaller than a matchbox, having been conceived just over 1 month before. But as Truganini nurtures her newborn creation, elsewhere around Australia, koalas are disappearing faster than they're being born. From the outright slaughter of almost 3 million for their skins earlier this century, koalas are these days disappearing from a whole host of killers, almost all of them related to man. Truganini is about to meet one of those killers. In search of fresh trees, she's wandered onto a country roadway. It's a scene repeated many times each day along eastern Australia. A car at speed, a near-sighted koala, a collision. In this case, Truganini is hit and injured, but not killed. It's a traumatic impact, one that sends Truganini scurrying for refuge. Rescuers are summoned. Truganini is found, so too is Yindi, but the crisis has caused mother and baby to separate. Truganini is apparently suffering internal bleeding.
It's a good girl. There's your baby there, look. We'll look after it for you.
Yindi too is in urgent need of care. That help comes from Bev and Bob Birtles, devoted animal lovers who've dedicated their lives to treating injured wildlife. What you're witnessing is a very rare event. Seldom does a minute baby koala survive away from its mother, and yet here to defy the norm is Yindi. Yindi, the survivor, now suckling the same formula used for premature babies instead of Truganini's teat. For 4 days, Yindi thrives in this foreign environment, giving us a unique opportunity to study his development. At 56 grams, he's now double the size he was when we first saw him in the pouch. Yindi is still completely bald, but those closed eyelids are set to open for the first time any day now. Truganini, meanwhile, has made a remarkable recovery, with vets deeming her healthy enough to have Yindi return to her pouch. Once that delicate reunion is judged successful, mother and child are released back into the wild. With Yindi well and truly secure in her pouch, Truganini heads high into the refuge of the eucalyptus forest to join other koalas in the ritual for which they've become famous, sleeping. For up to 19 hours each day they remain in this comatose state, the result of the poor nutrition in the only leaves koalas will eat, those from just a few species of eucalyptus trees. Their waking hours are spent consuming around 1 kilogram of these leaves, a potent mix of eucalyptus oil and other chemicals that would kill almost all other animals. As Truganini eats, the male of her species is on the warpath. Come breeding time, these docile fellows become raging bulls, challenging any male koala that enters their territory. They're off to battle, the territory's dominant males going in for the attack. These are vicious encounters, sharp claws and teeth extracting brutal punishment. The fact that they're up to 3 metres above the ground doesn't appear to matter to these furry gladiators. Without disengaging for 1 second, these sparring males finally fall to the ground. Like 2 sumo wrestlers, they grapple one another, fur flying, teeth snapping into flesh. For 30 minutes, they wear each other down, trying to get that perfect stranglehold. It's almost a fight to the death, the winner becoming the dominant male who can claim all females nearby as part of his harem. Some of those females are on heat. The bobbing, hiccuping movement displayed by this young lady shows that she's extremely estrous. But not all female koalas are so keen. Truganini has just given birth to Yindi and is in no mood to mate. She fights with vigour to retain her honour. Undeterred, the male fights back, biting her on the shoulder to bring her to submission. There follows a mating session that lasts no more than 2 minutes. It's an aggressive encounter, one that will ultimately prove fruitless. Truganini will not start her next breeding cycle until Yindi is weaned, a process that stretches 12 months from conception. It is indeed a slow-moving partnership for Truganini and Yindi alike. For the 6 months after Yindi was born, he remains solidly inside the pouch, growing slowly as Truganini goes about her daily rituals. "6 months after giving birth, Truganini's pouch appears very swollen, signalling that Yindi is growing strongly. In the safe heights of a eucalyptus tree, Yindi makes one of his first escapades out of the pouch, and what a fine specimen he proves to be. Since we last saw him, he's grown plenty of fur. Already he's developed a taste for eucalyptus leaves, a sure sign that he's been successfully weaned. But these are still early days out in the open, and at this stage, he'll spend long periods clinging to his mother's belly, close to the security of her pouch. For the next 2 months, Yindi will spend increasing periods of time out of the pouch. It's a beautiful time of transition, in which Yindi will suckle his mother less and less as he consumes increasing quantities of leaves. His confidence is growing and he's becoming increasingly inquisitive. These are his last weeks in his mother's pouch. By 36 weeks of age, he'll no longer retreat to this refuge, which makes him all the more anxious now to enjoy its comfort. Every day, Yindi is spending more and more time in the open. From now on, he'll begin to explore even further, venturing from his mother more and more. But at this stage, there's still an incredibly powerful bond between mother and child. For the next 6 months, until Yindi is around 1 year old, the two will always remain in sight of one another. Yindi is still dependent on the maternal care that Truganini provides so instinctively, the carrying, suckling and protection. But increasingly, Yindi is displaying signs of independence, eating and exploring more and more as he prepares for life on his own. Over the next few months, Yindi makes stunning progress. As his weight increases, so too does his assertiveness. He's roaming more and more from mother, exploring large distances on open ground. These are days of increasing freedom, more and more time spent alone exploring. And at the end of these sessions, the security of mother. For both Yindi and Truganini, these are days of peace. Unknown to either of them, they're about to face a killer very few creatures survive. One of the hazards of life in the bush for all native animals is fire. It rages without conscience, killing, maiming and terrorising all in its path. For Truganini and Yindi, their first experience with fire is horrifying. Truganini retreats to the refuge of a tree surrounded by smoke and flames. Yindi is completely bewildered, at first running towards the advancing inferno. Then, as though possessing no fear of imminent death, he pauses to eat the grass. Only when the heat becomes unbearably intense does he retreat. For a seeming eternity, Truganini remains stationary in the tree. It's as if she's too petrified to make any move towards safety. Yindi finds temporary shelter in a small waterhole. Never before has he had to swim, but confronted with catastrophe, he paddles successfully from one bank to the other. By now, a very distraught Truganini has retreated at full speed from the fire. As the fire advances westward, Truganini and Yindi are reunited, rescuers saving both them and this even younger mother and baby. All are rushed well away from the advancing inferno to be checked over for smoke inhalation and shock. For Truganini, emergency treatment comes at the fully equipped Koala Hospital at Port Macquarie. She's revived with a saline mixture pumped through a face mask. The verdict, she will survive, but once again she and Yindi are to be taken into home care to speed their recovery. Who better qualified for that task than Bob and Bev Birtles, the same couple who helped them so much many months before. The Birtles' rural Queensland home is a perfect sanctuary for many distressed animals. As Yindi clings to Bev through the most regular of chores, other orphaned Australian marsupials are standing by for their personal treatment.
The mother was a redneck, but we're not quite sure exactly what she is. She has the face of a redneck, but she's got a very small body, so she's what you call a surprise packet. Until she gets a little bit bigger, we won't exactly know what type of wallaby she is. But,
apart from koalas, the Birtles care for a wide range of injured wildlife, from this newborn sugar glider, its mother was killed by dogs, through to orphan kangaroos.
Come on, up you come. You're going to scrub this time. Go and scrub quietly.
But it's their newest and most playful refugee who's winning most of their affection.
Will. Hey. Ouch.
So who have we got here, Bev?
This is Yindi. He's one of our little babies. He's roughly 8 months old and, as I say, he's part of the family. He really is a character. He's a real little tomboy.
He likes to play.
Oh, he loves to play. But as he's getting bigger, he's getting a little bit rougher, of course. And
for hours at a time, Yindi bounces from one end of the Birtles' lounge to the other. As I discover, he loves to pull your hair and bite.
I know he's playing, but he's got quite sharp.
For Yindi, this civilised human environment is strictly a temporary playground. The plan is to rear him until he's old enough to fend for himself and then re-release him back into the wild. But for so many koalas along eastern Australia, the wild is no longer so wild. Man is moving in on koala habitat at an alarming rate, knocking down koala trees by the tens of thousands and erecting new housing developments. Koala housing giving way to human housing. With his home cut down, any wonder this poor koala is bewildered. So too is this sad creature, who's strayed onto a beach at Port Macquarie. She circles around and around and around in total confusion. Chances are that she'll become victim to another big koala killer, the pet dog. Dogs account for a staggering number of koala deaths every year, as many as 1 in every 20 koalas dying this horrific way. Ruth Barrett is a koala carer in the northern New South Wales city of Lismore, where, she says, more than 40 koalas died from dog attacks alone last year.
Unfortunately, the mother was killed by the family pet, and Sonny had to be surgically removed from the pouch and then taken into care and to reared to this point. They're an animal that are not aggressive, and I don't think they understand aggression. And so they're easy prey to the dog.
Virtually the only significant killer of koalas that isn't attributable to man or dogs is chlamydia. On Queensland's Sunshine Coast, vet Mark Powell recovers yet another koala who's almost been blinded by this widespread disease.
He's virtually blind from having this condition long term. You can see his left eye is quite matted and pussy, and his right eye, he has is quite cloudy.
If he wasn't caught, as he was in the wild yesterday, if he wasn't caught, what would happen to him?
He would starve to death because he's now unable to see and unable to find food, unable to avoid predators.
Please don't call me a koala bear, 'cause I'm not a bear at all. Please don't call me a koala bear, it's driving me up the wall.
With koalas facing so many threats, public concern is growing, particularly with the youngsters.
Understand why I'm sick, sick, sick. I'm simply a koala, and I want my name to stick.
At Budrum Mountain Primary School on Queensland's Sunshine Coast, students are meeting 3-year-old Dave.
I like koalas because they're cute and cuddly. I love koalas because they've got cute, wet noses. I love koalas because I love everything about koalas. I like them because they're furry. And it sounds like a pig.
It sort of sounds a little bit like a pig, doesn't it?
As if to chorus his approval for his young fans, Dave starts bellowing, a noise he keeps up right throughout the speech by Ron Peterson, his Bunya Park keeper.
What they actually do is koalas sleep for about 18 to 20 out of 24 hours, which is a lot more than we do. And just as sun sets... You right, Dave?
It's a star performance by Dave, one that will endear him to these children for a long time to come.
Dave winked at me. He went,
Dave winked at you?
yeah, Dave did.
Back at the home of Bob and Bev Birtles, Yindi is slowly growing bigger and stronger. It's important that he acclimatises to the outside world, and to that end, he begins spending increasing periods of time in a makeshift branch while Bob and Bev work their garden. As we're about to discover, Yindi is not the only koala being cared for in captivity.
Beautiful, Bev. Yes, you are.
In a bid to save the koala, a network of devoted wildlife enthusiasts has grown throughout koala territory. Audrey Kuzman was one of the first. She's cared for many sick and injured animals, but none has captivated her as much as Kenneth.
Oh, he's beautiful, isn't he? He's gorgeous. Yeah, I certainly have. I've had him since he was a little tiny baby. He's 360 grams when I got him, and he's not been a very well little fella. He's been a very difficult animal to look after. And but we're hoping we're going to get on top of this, aren't we? I certainly have lots of love for him. I'm sure he loves me too.
Okay. You ready to go to bed?
He spent many hours in here. His babysitter, when we'd go out, the babysitter would come and mind him, and this was his little room. This is my koala room, I call it.
So spoiled is Kenneth that he was raised with this toy koala. Audrey often slept in the same room. These days, an increasingly sick Kenneth receives regular veterinary care.
Okay, right, here he is, Mark. So what are we going to do to him today? You're going to do some...
Just draw some blood out initially.
Okay.
Before he gets too stressed.
Okay, all right, now what we're going to do, come and sit down, my darling.
We're very worried about Kenneth because we're concerned that he's got a disease called calcium oxalate nephrosis, which is a fancy name for his kidneys being
a bit wonky. We're just having a feel there of his belly to see if we can feel the kidneys.
Good boy. Such a good boy. Gotcha.
But when they're little, they just don't like to be left behind. You can't be running in and out, so I just used to take it, and when I'd go out the front to work, I would just take the basket and hang it up in a tree.
Another dedicated carer is June Welsh, her latest orphan, Gemma.
Every afternoon she comes across for a little bit of a change. If it's not here, it's out the front, and plenty of exercise. She doesn't think much of reading or television, you know, so you've got to give her a ladder to play with. It's a wonderful form of exercise, and they're easy to keep clean.
One of the priorities of these carers is to make sure their koalas develop all of the skills they'll need back in the bush. That accounts for this ladder, installed on June's back veranda, which enables Gemma to perfect her climbing skills. Even on this unnatural surface, Gemma is agile, displaying all of the acrobatic techniques she'll need in the tree she'll be returned to later. And at the end of each workout, Gemma is rewarded the tender tips of a swamp mahogany. Acrobatic manoeuvres are also the specialty of Pride's Joy. This cheeky 11-month-old is exercising on the curtains at the home of John and Bev Dielman.
She's the best one we've ever reared because of her mother not wanting her. You'd go in when she was in the hospital and she'd be up one end of the runner and the mother would be up the other end. As soon as she'd come near the mother would attack her and bite her and scratch her. So it's meant that she's so independent, and I feed her about 10:30 of a night time, and she sleeps in the little room out the front, and she stays there all night long. And normally when you have them, they come in bed with you all night, they play with you all night, you just don't get any sleep because they're awake all night long. And this one, she's not.
Pride's Joy has now adopted her own friends, like this toy koala, which she plays with for hours.
We do this to strengthen the muscles, like allowed to go up the curtains or climb anywhere, just to get the muscles in the arms. Hey.
At this age, life is one great adventure.
She's gonna fall again. Hey, come here. Come here.
Yes. You're injured, aren't you? Your poor old back.
But of all the carers, this one, Jean Starr, is most highly revered. Affectionately known as the mother of koala medicine for her work in developing cures for koala diseases, Jean has rescued hundreds of injured koalas.
This koala was picked up about 8 o'clock last night, dragging its hindquarters, trying to pull itself by its front paws. We don't know exactly what's happened to it. We can almost assume that it's been hit by a car and just left. You look at the front, it's just such a beautiful animal, but the hindquarters are almost paralysed. Very sad, we're having so much of this hit run, and there's no excuse for it.
One of Jean's greatest successes was to set up Australia's first koala hospital, the same one that Yindi's mother, Truganini, was admitted to at Port Macquarie. Here, volunteers care for many youngsters, orphaned by dog attacks and car accidents. Formula, developed by Jean Starr, is fed twice a day to these younger inmates.
It may not be easy. She'll run around that tree.
Well, let's just try. I'll see if I can get this above her now.
Other hospital volunteers help with the koalas that have to be rescued from the middle of the town's housing estates. This one has another form of chlamydia, a urinary tract infection known as wet bottom, with volunteers Ron and Liz assigned to bring her in. Their technique is to scare her down, using a toilet brush strapped to a pole. It's potentially dangerous work, with koalas angered by such disturbances known to inflict deep wounds from their powerful claws. Once caught, the sick koala is transported quickly to the hospital. Here, full-time nurse Robin Barthley instigates a thorough check. The new patient is weighed. Blood poisoning ticks removed. Soiled fur cut off.
So I don't quite understand exactly what a syringe is sometimes.
And antibiotics administered.
Just about half it out. All right.
Finally, she's tagged for instant identification if she's ever caught again. That ID is a microchip implanted into the back of her neck. A few days under supervision and she'll be released again.
You're right. It won't work, will it?
Despite such rescues and treatment, Jean Starr fears that the day will come when koalas are wiped out around Port Macquarie.
We're certainly losing numbers. The one thing that's happening here that really is surprising is the animals are still breeding very well. And every season there's still a lot of joeys, so generally the breeding's continuing, and that's replacing much of the, a lot of the animals that are lost on the roads and so forth. But I think we are losing, yes. I'd have to be honest about that.
That sad prediction is one that's being echoed by all koala experts. A growing realisation that the koala may be lost forever around those areas where man lives.
Come on. There you are. That's it. Yeah,
Certainly the Birtles are only too aware of just how precious their Yindi is.
There you are.
They lavish him with their very best care and affection, right down to this bath, which will help ensure Yindi doesn't succumb quickly to chlamydia.
You're biting a bit harder now, aren't you?
Right, okay.
Proof of his growth comes in the weekly weigh-in session.
There you are, near the weights. You see it there. Just over 2K.
It's clear that Yindi is rapidly becoming fully grown. Just a few more weeks of home care like this, and he's set to be freed. The short boat ride across from mainland Australia to the Victorian retreat of French Island transports us to a fascinating aberration in koala numbers. Where elsewhere they're being wiped out, here there's too many of them, as Ranger Alan Pullen explains.
Now the koala was brought here to the island. It was introduced in the late 1800s, or around about 1870, and that was from a local sealer, brought over 6 koalas for his girlfriend as a present. And so really the population of koalas on French Island have all stemmed from those 6 koalas. So what we're dealing with today are all generations down from those original 6.
That small koala population quickly exploded to 30,000. And with too many koalas, trees were stripped of leaves and left to die.
That one will do if it's through.
The solution has been to relocate many of the koalas back to the mainland, a task assigned these days to a team of rangers led by Alan Pullen.
What we're going to do with this koala, I'll just probably get up there a little bit actually and see if I can just get the loop around his neck, and then Bruce with the flag will go above him. Once we get the noose around his neck and tighten it up a bit, we'll then flag him down a little bit and get him down onto the side here and grab him and grapple with him on the ground here and hop on his back and tag him and take him out and put him in a box.
First to be caught is a healthy male adult. One of the rangers abseils up the tree to get closer.
Right, someone grab this and hold the flag.
Unlike the toilet brush technique of the Port Macquarie volunteers, this team uses a red flag to frighten the koala downwards. It can be a lengthy process, with koalas jumping from branch to branch. Once within reach, a rope noose is placed around his neck. Even then the koala can hang on tenaciously. It all appears very cruel, but the rangers assure us it isn't, that the koala would otherwise have perished. Finally brought to ground, one more indignity. An ear tag snapped on.
That's all right. Yeah, 81.
Next for the catchers, a mother and back young baby. They too proved to be unwilling recruits.
I'd say this baby's probably about 9-10 months old, so it's moving off the mother's back at the moment, so it might come off.
This time it's the youngster who escapes time and time again. Finally, he too is brought down to earth, but this time in a fast slide downwards.
Now, next to mum or with mum?
Next to mum.
The Victorian koalas are much bigger, much bigger. These ones, the male koalas can weigh sort of 12 to 14 kilograms, whereas the Queensland ones will only go up to about 7 or 8 kilograms.
But there seems to be a thinner face.
Yep, yeah, much more of that pointier face, not as round, like you say, and a lot more fur on these guys, a lot more fur, and that's probably because of the climate.
Making them look a lot healthier.
Yeah, and a lot more cuter. I think the Victorian ones are a lot more cuter. Okay.
And so it goes for the next 2 days. Koala after koala captured, tagged and placed in a box.
She's released with mum.
Yeah, you'll be okay. They'll be released together.
But just as the rangers prepare to ship their catch back to the mainland, one more assignment. This sad creature has become disorientated. He's fallen into the water and is now seeking refuge under the wharf. One last chore for Alan Pullen. For the captured koalas, there's a long and varied trip ahead. First off the island by naval patrol boat, then trailer through the heart of Melbourne. Their final release point is a forest near Ballarat. On hand to observe proceedings, the Australian Koala Foundation, its principal biologist Steve Phillips. First to be freed, that mother and back young baby. Cage door wide open, they're still reluctant to find freedom. One by one, the males too are let go, a process that appears to guarantee their safety.
And up she goes, up he goes.
This is a fairly traumatic exercise for koalas. They've probably got a 50% chance of survival, and those females with the back young have got a significantly lesser chance of survival. They're in hostile territory, they do not know their food trees, There's a whole lot of unknown dangers here for them.
Sobering sentiments, ones that demonstrate just how contentious the whole politics of koala management can be. Certainly in their home far to the north, the Birtles have only one issue on their minds: fully preparing Yindi for release. There's vitamin pack formulas to be administered for the last time, and a small taste of freedom, first on level ground. Then a boost up a tree to sharpen his climbing skills. Finally, he's left outside the house for increasing periods of time, exposing him to as many different types of gum leaves as possible, all preparation for his release in a few days' time. Just as Yindi is preparing for life back in the wild, so too is the baby sugar glider he's been growing up with. They've developed close bonds over the summer months and now interact without any fear of one another. While Yindi has developed into a superb young koala, there's increasing concern about the future of his species from those who should know, the carers and keepers who work full-time with koalas.
We're certainly going to lose the koalas on the coast.
The koala in the wild, mate, they've got all the odds going against them. They've got the cat, the dog, the fox, the human being, cars. The more development we get on the eastern coast of Australia, we are definitely pushing the koala out.
The AKF truly believes that the impacts that have been made on koalas in the last 5 to 10 years are going to have like a 20 to 30 year significance. I don't really think we know what is going to happen to koalas for another 10 to 15 years. I think it's going to be dramatic, and I think if we don't change our way now, I think koalas have got a very, very serious future in this country.
So what is being done to save the koala? Debbie Tabat and her Koala Foundation are supervising the first koala-friendly housing project in Australia. Koala Beach on the New South Wales North Coast is being built away from known koala trees. Dogs are banned. Cars have to travel dead slow.
The area where the koala habitat was burnt.
At a government level, scientists like Dan Lunny are studying ways that man and koalas can live closely together.
Koalas were just overtaken by the fire.
In the field, researchers like Anne Carey are radio tracking individual koalas, learning more about their habits and movements. In New South Wales, tourists are being banned from holding koalas. While in Queensland, scientists are beginning to save koala sperm, working towards an artificial insemination program that could reintroduce the species if it ever dies out in certain areas. In this fascinating experiment, staff from Queensland University interrupt a normal mating session by inserting an artificial vagina and collecting the sperm. It's all part of a growing realisation that radical steps have to be taken if the koala is to survive. As for Yindi, well, he may not be quite the last koala, but he certainly is one of the last. Official estimates put their numbers as low as 40,000 and falling fast. Today is Yindi's day of freedom, with Bob and Bev Birtles to release him well away from human settlements. Well away from the dogs and cars and loss of trees that are killing so many of his kind. As we've followed his life from that minute hairless creature in Truganini's pouch, we've observed an animal that is both lovable and tenacious, having survived car accidents and bushfires.
running you, but it's your day now. Off you go.
Freed from captivity for the last time, he's displaying plenty of fight, scrambling quickly away from the couple that have been his surrogate parents for the past year. Such spirit is a hopeful sign, one that he'll not only survive, but thrive in the wild. The larger hope is that the same will apply to all of his species.